Today on Inner Peace, Better Health, we are joined by someone who brings a completely fresh angle to the idea of awakening. I'm Sayan, and our guest, Lara Luna, doesn't approach spirituality through perfection or polished language. She approaches it through real life, through humor and synchronity, and the very human chaos of trailer park moments that end up teaching you more than you expect. Lara is an author, storyteller, and the host of Trailer Park Angel podcast. What makes her perspective stand out really is how naturally she connects everyday experiences with something deeper, not in a forced way, but in a way that makes you think, okay, maybe awakening doesn't look how I thought it should. So, in this conversation, we're going to be exploring what moving from fear to joy actually looks like when you strip away the cliches, when awakening shows up in ordinary places, uncomfortable moments, and the parts of the life most people would overlook. So, if you have ever wondered whether your own messy, imperfect reality could be the part of your spiritual path, this is a conversation that you will connect with. So, welcome to the show, Lara. It's an absolute honor to have you here with me today.
The honor is mine. Thank you so much.
Wonderful, Lara. And, I'm excited to get into this with you. So, I would love to start right at the heart of your story, Lara. Your awakening story mixes um, fear, humor, and spirituality in such a real way. So, I'm really
Right.
curious to know about, from your experience, what is fear actually trying to tell us when it shows up in the middle of everyday life?
Yeah. So, how I figured that out for myself was that it's showing us that we have to go deep inside ourselves and ask us, why are we afraid? And what are we afraid of? And we have to really pinpoint what that is that we're afraid of. And then I usually use like a ball of yarn where you go into yourself, and each little piece of fear that's connected, maybe as an example, to something that happened to you as a child. Okay. So something, let's just say very disturbing happened to you when you were young. You would go into yourself and pull out one of the strings and then kind of examine that and ask yourself, why am I afraid of this? And why is this bothering me? And why does this cause me to be in fear? And that's what it is. You have to work with yourself, and it takes some time. But as you pull out each little string of this ball of yarn within yourself, it is replaced with light. So if I pull out a dark piece of yarn from my childhood, light will replace that part. And as you go on and work with yourself, okay, it then starts to dissipate and disappear. It's pushed all the way to the side. I guess I can explain it that way for myself. And then it fills you with light and love, because that's really what we are made of. That's who we really are. We are love. And this whole thing about fear, to me, is really a sickness, and it's become a plague on our planet. So we really need to, it if it bothers you, if it's something that you really wish to work on, I think the best thing to do is to stop everything that you're doing, to take time for yourself. So I do this in the morning before the hectic, crazy day gets started. Meditation for me has become a life changing thing. It's become something I cannot skip every day. Every day I have to meditate because it takes me out of the craziness of the world. I can sit with myself. I can connect with God. And it changes your life if you can just give yourself, start with 5 minutes, start with 10 minutes. I understand how everyone is so busy that usually you'll wake up, and my life used to be, oh my gosh, I have to hurry up because I have to do this and I have to do that. And I have to, yeah, I'm just not even going to have enough time during the day to do everything. That's how I would wake up in the middle of the night with these things in my head, like what I have to do.
Mm.
So one day I had a job for 9 years, And it just pushed me to the point where I came home one day, looked outside, and said, "Why am I here? Who am I?" Because I have no idea who I am at all. And I'm just going through the paces doing what everyone else wants me to do. This really isn't what I want to do. I'm not happy. I'm stressed out. I'm suffering. I'm in pain. I'm getting sick. And I have to change this. And I think it just kind of all hit me like a wave. And that's started me to wake up. And then when that happened, I started to go onto YouTube and look up things like spiritual leaders, gurus, near-death experiences, quantum physics. I started to actually study
I
that.
love that. I
Yeah,
love quantum physics.
right? And then the universe, how the universe works. And I started to put together all that information. And then after I got all the information I possibly could, I started to pick out the similarities between all of that information. And there were so many things that were the same in all of these different areas. Quantum
Right.
physics, spirituality, near death experiences is they're hitting me everywhere I turn. And then that woke me up even more. And then I started to learn about meditation and Tai Chi. I do that in the morning. Tai Chi is wonderful as well. Of course, all those kind of things, metaphysical. Um, I relax my body. I go into meditation. My meditation started at 10 minutes. I didn't know anything about it. I tried so hard to make something happen when I did it at first, but then I realized just relax and let everything happen on its own in its own time. And then I started getting messages actually. That's going to be a third book. But the meditation, then now my meditations last for 1 to 2 hours in the morning. And it's not
Wow.
something I plan or time. It's just the time flies so fast that 2 hours or 1 hour I miss it. It's like, then I go about my day and I'm like, oh gosh, I wish I could just kind of, go back in there to that beautiful place that I get to go to every morning. That is just takes me away from all the stress. There's no stress there. There's no fear there. So, and I always say that if we can replace the fear and imprisonment on our planet with love and empowerment, that's really where we need to go. There's no reason why all of us have to be afraid. As soon as we wake up, we don't want to go outside. We're afraid that guy over there, he might do something to me, or that lady over there is probably not going to like me very well because I'm kind of weird. And, you go through that whole thing and we really don't have to. And I think
Right.
a large part of this is really like, I live in the United States, so the news is something I don't watch because when I watch the news, it's it pulls me down. It makes me afraid. So I did eliminate the whole TV thing, and that also helped me to just stop and see what's really in front of me. Because we can go through our whole life with blinders on. And then there's so many people that wait until they're like sick and dying until they think about these things. Why don't you think of it now? And also to think of all of us as a collective, right? So my energy will affect your energy. Your energy affects my energy. So if I'm happy and I go outside and there's a woman out there, my neighbor, and she's really sad, I'll probably kind of pick up a little bit on that energy. But let's say that she was happy. And then if you keep going around the whole corner and everyone was happy, then all that energy around you becomes happy, right? And so what are we actually afraid of? Like, think about that. What is it that we're all afraid of? Why are we in fear? This is something
Right.
that I know in my country has been taught to us. We've been taught, oh, you have to be afraid of this and you better do things this way because if you don't, you're going to end up with no house, no food, and who knows, suffering,
Mhm.
right?
Right, right. I mean, totally. Energy is very contagious, right? I mean, you look at people, you look at someone who is happy around you, you instantly feel that vibration around you. Likewise, if if you're with someone who is just sad, I think that energy gets you in. So in wow, I mean, what you really talked about, right? That blend of insight and levity shows listeners that awakening doesn't have to be grim. It can be surprisingly lighthearted and deeply healing. That makes a lot of sense, honestly. And the way you mix that insight with humor just lands to me. It actually reminds me of the people in your stories because some of them are wild in the best way. So let me ask you this, Lara. When you look back at the characters and moments in your trailer park stories, which ones were unexpectedly the most spiritually revealing to you, if you could share?
Yeah. So I actually have a a psychic in my story, and she's kind of over the top, just as
Hmm.
a funny thing. But she does promote angel numbers, synchronicities, and messages from
Yeah.
in a very lighthearted
Yeah,
way.
so I'm actually also curious to know about that since you
Yeah.
mentioned about synchronities and angel number. How did they become part of your personal guidance system?
So I believe that was the universe itself trying to wake me up because I was in such a dark place for so many years. And
Mm.
at the end, like right at the end where I couldn't take life anymore, really, I started to see angel numbers. And at first, I thought I was crazy. Uh, I then started to research them. And all you would have to do really is if you put in whatever number you see, let's say I used to always see 222, 444, 111, 1111, 1222. I mean, it just became where it's just, first of all, I don't believe in coincidence, but there's no way it could have been a coincidence the way they kept showing up as they did on the microwave clock. Like, it's not like I was looking over there. I just passed by and it said 444. One day in Florida, we have caves. Like, a lot of people don't know we have caves, right? So I went with my friends and we actually crawled into a cave, and when we came out, there was a log outside the cave with a spray painted 444 on it. And I was like, oh my gosh, are y'all seeing that? Look at it. It's 444. Am I crazy? Are you seeing? And they're like, yeah, we see it too. And I have a Jeep. So we got in the Jeep and we went down the Jeep trail, right? And as we're going down, there was a big rock and right small, like right on the end. It's just like 222. And I'm like, tell me you all see that. And so
Wow.
that became like the whole intro and into the whole angel number thing, because then I went home and started to research it. My friends went home and started to put it into Google and stuff. And they're like, you're not going to believe this, but 222 is called an angel number. And if you're doing something, let's say, or you're thinking about something, or you're in like a life situation and you see an angel number, look up the meaning. And the only way that I usually do it is I just put the number itself into Google without anything else. Just 222. It's so amazing because it actually comes up as an angel number. You would think it would come
Right.
up as like somebody's address or a phone number, but it comes up as an angel number first. And that's the whole thing that'll hit you right in the head and wake you up. And I think that's what it's supposed to do. It's things coming at you at a time in your life where it's essential for you to start opening your eyes and notice these messages from the universe. And I think they're just trying to wake us all up. So if you look up the meaning, so most times out of none, it applies to either whatever you were thinking at the moment or whatever you were doing. It's very interesting. And that's actually in my book. It's a little bit of an angel number guide, but there are so many of them that you would never even think were angel numbers, even 7-Eleven, like the store or the convenience store, right?
Wow.
Yeah,
Mhm. Yeah, I mean, Lara, I think that perspective really invites listener to pay attention to the subtle magic unfolding in their own lives instead of waiting for like a grand revelation. I love that really. It reminds me that guidance doesn't always come with fireworks. Sometimes it's just those small nudges, right?
right.
And so I'm really interested, Lara, to know what does that shift look like on a practical daily level for someone who feels stuck? Since you talk a lot about moving from fear to joy and real day-to-day way.
Yeah. So all of my parents have passed away, and I have cousins, but I live alone. I do live in a trailer park, and
Mm,
I was always trying to get out of here because I didn't want to live in a trailer park anymore. And I wanted to I always thought there was somewhere else I always had to be. Like I was always trying to escape from where I was. Now, after the awakening, I don't have that feeling at all. I am 100% totally satisfied and happy exactly where I am because I'm right where I'm meant to be, really. But so going back to what you asked, um, how it is, you know, it's hard when you first go through this whole thing because there's a lot coming into your mind. You're rationalizing things, you're taking what you've learned as a child, what the world tells you how you should be, and then you have all these little things happening to you. And
mm,
so once the signs come, they're going to hit you over the head somehow. Some people have an NDE, a near death experience, and because they are not seeing the signs, this is what I believe happens, that no
mm,
matter what, the universe is going to get your attention. So I have always been an empath and a very sensitive individual. So I always kind of picked up on these little signs. But so in my everyday life, used to be so um, constricting, so fearful, so much suffering and pain that when I awakened and saw the signs, and as I was going through this, I did have, I guess you could call it like dark night of the soul, where you go through all of the crying. I had deep seated crying where I didn't know why I was crying. And so in Western medicine or the Western world, they first go to you're depressed and you need medication. There's something wrong with you. But no, stop and just wait and think to yourself, I think I'm going through something deeper than what that doctor down there just told me. I don't think that that's correct. I don't feel that. I believe you have to get in towards your feelings more. Let your feelings tell you things. Let your emotions, why am I feeling this way? It's for a reason. You're not feeling that way for nothing. So, this is how it happened. Now, I would go take a shower, let's just say, for example, and I would start crying in the shower, this deep crying. But what it was my, I'm going to say my soul, my body, my soul, my mind, my everything was getting rid of all of the darkness a little by little. It wasn't something scary. I can tell you that when I was crying, I actually felt good about crying. Like, I explained this to my friends, and I'm like, you have to understand that this was the best feeling I've ever had. It was pulling something right out of me. And I believe that when you start your meditation, and this
mm.
also creates a higher frequency that you can live in. And so now
Okay.
in my life, I live in a higher frequency. And that means for me, I don't have as much time during the day as I used to. My days lasted forever before. Now I feel they last only maybe 5 or 6 hours. But
Mm.
in daily life, it's manageable. What if you have a job, it's manageable. I walk around with a smile on my face. This is what this looks like. What I'm
Right.
explaining to you in the awakening is I am walking around in total joy. I don't have any
Right.
fear. And I thought to myself yesterday, I forgot what fear feels like. So I tried to actually remember what it felt like by trying to think of something that scared me, and I couldn't
Mm.
because I am so joyfully happy. I mean, let's face it, I don't have a job. I'm living on the rest of my savings to follow my passion. And I think that's another thing. Don't do something that you don't like to do. I
Mm.
understand it's hard with bills and money, that whole money thing that shouldn't exist anyway.
Yeah, that uh, yeah, separate conversation on its own.
Yeah.
But definitely. Lara, I believe that that kind of honesty that you brought in of a listener, both laughter and liberation, and thank you for being that honest about it. What I'm really taking away from this conversation is how freeing it is to realize awakening doesn't need the perfect setting or perfect timing. Um, People can just breathe a little easier hearing that because it means they don't have to wait for their life to look a certain way before they can grow. And I think that's the perfect note to wrap things upon. It really brings things to a full circle, Lara. And just before we wrap this up, I would love to ask on behalf of everyone who's listening to this right now, what's the best way for them to reach out to you?
Yeah. So it's real simple. You can just go to my website. It's laralunacreations.com. There's a link to my newsletter, my podcast, and my book.
Amazing.
Yeah.
So, dear listeners, I'll have the details in the show notes for you so you can check them out anytime you want at your own convenience. And with that, we hit today's mark on this episode with Lara Luna. Um, to everyone listening, if there's anything to take away from today, it's this: you don't need perfect circumstances to shift toward joy. You don't need a retreat, a new mindset, or a dramatic life change. Just notice one small moment that feels lighter than fear. Pay attention to that one thing that feels like a nudge. Um, it could be an angel number as well. That's enough to start with. If this conversation made you think or made you feel a little safer, share this with a friend who you think it will change their life. This is Sayan, and you have been listening to Inner Peace, Better Health. Thank you for tuning in. Until next time, take care of yourself.